Kylo Ren is back and undefeated. You're welcome. Hello and welcome to the table, and today I'm going to be doing another updated deck video for Kylo Red this time, and this is an absolutely insane deck now, a lot better than the original, which the original deck video will be linked in the description below. The updated deck list will also be linked in the description below. And for that side, let's talk about the new deck and why it can actually hold its own against some decks a lot better than the original version. And the only real thing that I can say about this deck that it has above the original is that it can survive in the later portions of the game through damage, such as the new base, Tarkin Town. It has 5 less health than the original base that was in this deck. However, this 25 health base does have the epic action ability of dealing 3 damage to a damaged non-leader unit, which kind of signifies what this deck is wanting to do. If it can't just kill the opponent super duper quickly, like it's wanting to do, it instead takes the approach of like, hey, let's kill the opponent's units to make sure that our stuff can stay alive, and then kill the opponents. So, if it needs to go longer, kill the opponent's things with stuff like Tarkin Town, or many of the new and amazing cards in this deck. And now, let's get into the video and into the actual deck itself. So I've already talked about Tarkin Town. Kylo Ren, for those of you that don't remember, is a red and black leader. The base is red, so double red Kylo still. But Kylo Ren is an leader that has an action ability, that exhausts him, discards a card from your hand, unfortunately, but gives units a +2 power buff for the turn, which doesn't seem amazing, but if you have to use it, you can, because it can help you on the backside once Kylo flips and you have 4 resources when you can flip him. He is a 5/4 that gets -1 power for each card in your hand, so if you absolutely have to use the front side ability to get rid of some cards in your hand and make sure that Kylo's bigger, you can use that ability. However, a lot of the time you're not going to, so it's whatever. But having a 5/4 unit on turn 3 is kind of freaking insane. And to make sure that the card can be a 5/4 when he flips, or even a 4/4, honestly, we have tons of 1s, 2s, 3s, just really, really cheap stuff in this deck. There is nothing in this deck except for 2 cards that cost more than 3 resources. Now, let's talk about, from the bottom up, what the curve of this deck effectively is. To start things off, I got Death Star Stormtrooper, 1 resource, 3/1, just a good card, deals tons of damage. Savannah Lines of Flesh and Blood, or of Star Wars Unlimited, good card. Then there's Benthic 2 Tubes, 1 cost 2/2, deals tons of damage like the Death Star Stormtrooper, because on attack, you give another red unit +2 power, or rate 2, for the face. Good card, just deals damage. What the deck is wanting to do. Then there's Reckless Gunslinger, or Ruthless Gunslinger, something like that. 1 resource, 2/1, when play, deal 1 damage to each base. It has Smuggle, so if you resource it, you can play it later. Who knows? Then there's, and this was originally a 3 of in the original version of the deck, but now it's a 2 of, so notable. Then there's TIE Fighter, a 1 cost, 2/1 space unit. Like the Death Star Stormtrooper, it's just a good stat body. It deals damage. It's doing more of what the deck's wanting to do. Then there's Daring Raid. This was originally a 2 of in the deck, now a 3 of, because I realized just how good this card was. It's a 1 cost event that deals 2 damage to a unit or base, which doesn't seem like a ton at first, but considering that this deck does want to deal some damage to the opponent's stuff and make sure that they die a little bit quicker or whatever, this can help with that. If you need to kill the opponents by just dealing direct damage to their base, this can do that. It just does what the deck's wanting to do, and hey, if it doesn't work out, you can resource it, and make sure that you have less cards in your hand for Kylo. So, there you go. Then there is a new card in this deck, Force-Throw. This is a 2 of, and it is honestly a very solid 2 of in this deck. It's a 1 cost event that says, choose a player, that player discards a card from their hand, and then if you do control a Force unit, if you, the person playing the Force-Throw, control a Force unit, then you deal damage to a unit equal to the cost of the discarded card. So let's say you choose your opponent, they discard something that costs 3 resources, and you have Kylo Ren out on the board. Well, now, you get to deal 3 damage to 1 of their units. That seems pretty good, honestly. Plus, this gets rid of cards from the opponent's hand, which doesn't seem like a big deal, but considering that this deck wants to run the opponent down super quick, and it's not always going to be able to do that, the opponent having less resources is really, really, really helpful. So there you go. Then, another new card, Ruthlessness. This 1 cost upgrade is actually incredibly solid. 1, it can be attached to any unit, not just a non-vehicle unit, which is very notable. Gets a +2 power buff, great. And then whenever this unit completes an attack by killing an opponent's, whenever this unit attacks and defeats an enemy unit, that's how I should word it, then you get to deal 2 damage to that unit's base, that unit's controller's base. So basically, if you need to go on basically board control mode, you can kill one of your opponent's Saints, and hey, Ruthlessness is on it. Now, that player takes 2 damage. Great. Then there's Partisan Insurgent. This is a good 2 of in the deck. I thought that I would need to cut this card, but honestly, it's still just a really good stat body, and it just is really good. So 2 cost, 1/4, that has raid 2 so long as you have another red unit, which doesn't seem like that's always going to happen. It's like, oh, what if all your units are dead or whatever? This card still does a lot more work than you would think, and it's going to just be an above rate body a lot more often than you would think, which is why this is still a 2 of in the deck and not just completely out of the deck. Then there's Migs, which honestly there could be an argument that I would potentially agree with, where this card just should be a 2 of in the deck, or potentially not even in the deck, because again, you're not really wanting to use the Kylo Ren discard that often, but there is a reason that this is still a 3 of in the deck. So, to start things off, Migs reads 2 cost, 2/2. Whenever a player discards a card once per round, you deal 2 damage to a unit or base. Doesn't seem like that big of a deal because it's like, again, Kylo Ren, you're not wanting to use his ability that often. But now there's Force Throw, which is a 2 of in the deck, so that could be another way for you to get to some potential value out of Migs and dealing damage. Otherwise, you're just resourcing him, which, again, that's not a super good excuse for saying, hey, well, if the card doesn't work at the time, just resource it. It's not an amazing excuse, but it still does a lot more work than some people would think, which is why this is still a 3 of in the deck and not a 2 of or just out of the deck, which I was considering doing when I was trying to rework and make this deck better and more refined and tuned. Then there is Bo-Katan. Most of what matters, I mean, when undefeated, you can potentially draw a card, but that doesn't matter. Most of what matters is that this is a 2 cost 3/3. Just a good body. Just a very good stat body. Then there is Kylo Ren's TIE Silencer. This card is also a very good stat body. It's a space unit. It's a 2 cost 3/2 space unit, which is insane. Plus, hey, you can get value out of Kylo Ren's discard ability now. Yay! Because, as an action, if you have discarded this card from your hand this phase, you can play this card from your discard pile by paying its cost. So you can say, as an action, hey, I can now play this card, and now I've discarded from Kylo Ren's ability, and yay, I can pay 2 resources and now play them on my next action or whatever. It's just a good card, and it can allow you to get some value out of Kylo, and hey, maybe that's a way that you can turn on Mig's ability, and actually get some good value, not just lose cards from your hand for no reason. So there you go. Kylo's TIE Silencer, good card. And then there's Armed to the Teeth. This is an actually incredibly good card in the deck. It is still only a 2 of, but it is a very good 2 of, and I don't think it should be a 3 of, but it's just a great 2 of. Again, Armed to the Teeth is a 2 cost upgrade, just does not need to be attached to non-vehicle units, can be to any unit, gives that unit a +2 power buff, and reads, whenever that unit attacks, give +2 power to another unit, and this also has Smuggle. Nothing but goods, nothing but upsides. I mean, this can get extra damage out. This can be resourced and eventually played later on. It's just a good card. It's just a very good card. And then there is Fifth Brother. This card is nuts. If you're playing red and black, you play Fifth Brother. That's just how good this card is. This card is insane. It's a 3 cost 2/4. This has raid 1, for each damage on him. It just, okay, this can be a big attacker very quickly. And then whenever this card attacks, you may deal 1 damage to him and an enemy ground unit. Well, that's nuts. It's like, hey, Fifth Brother, let's just take a little damage off him. Now this is attacking for more, and let's ping the opponent's thing. Oh, shoot. Well, that doesn't deal enough damage to kill it, but then you can turn on something like Tarkin Down's ability. Or you can deal just enough damage to it to where something like Daring Raid could kill it, or many of the other ways in this deck can kill that card. It's just Fifth Brother, very, 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 very good card. Then there's Punishing One. This is a 3 cost space unit that is a 3/4 body. Its ability actually matters now because you might be killing your opponent's stuff sometimes. And whenever one of your opponent's upgraded units is defeated, Punishing One reads, hey, this thing readies. Only once per round this ability goes off because that'd be kind of cracked if it went off multiple times. But still, having the ability to basically say, hey, you can attack with this thing, kill one of your opponent's upgraded things, which there are plenty of those units in the game right now. This thing now readies and can attack again. It's pretty good. Otherwise, it's just a 3/4 space unit body, which nothing to complain about either. So yeah, good card. Then there's Fallen Lightsaber, pretty much the MVP of the deck. This is a 3-cost upgrade. Can only be attached to non-vehicle units, unfortunately, but it gives that unit a +3/+3 power buff, which is insane. And if that unit that's attached is a Force unit, that unit, whenever it attacks, deals 1 damage to each opposing ground unit, which is kind of insane because it just shreds the opponent's ground board down and can put some stuff in range of Tarkin Town abilities or Daring Raids or Fifth Brothers and all that kind of stuff. Just a good card. Very good card, honestly, and again, pretty much the MVP of the deck. Then there's Van Burn's Flamethrowers. This is another new card, and this doesn't seem like a very good card, especially at a 3-up, but it actually does some pretty insane work. This card is a 3-cost upgrade that gets a +1/+1 power buff to target non-vehicle units, and whenever that unit attacks, you get to deal 3 damage divided as you choose among enemy ground units. That is kind of insane, honestly, because yes, you only get to deal like so much damage to whatever, but it's just, I don't know, it does some pretty insane work. It can deal a lot of damage very, very quickly to make sure to just keep the opponent's ground arena in check, make sure that your Kylo Ren can stay around longer, make sure that some of your important ground units, such as Benthic 2 Tubes, can stay around longer, that kind of stuff. And it's just, yeah, this card doesn't seem like a very powerful card at first, but you play around with it, and it does a lot more work than you might think at first. Then there's Hunting Nexu, still an amazing 3-of in the deck. It's a 4-cost 4/4 that gets +2 power, effectively. It gets Ray 2, so long as you have another red unit. That's insane. This card's just nuts. It just deals so much damage, and it's just such a good end or later game body in this deck. It's just good. It's just very good. Then there's the last new card, and the last card period in the deck, Aggression. When I originally built the deck, it's like, oh, this is double red, and I should probably run Aggression, but this deck is too quick, I don't need Aggression. Well, here's the thing. If you're playing double red deck, anything, you play Aggression. Period. End of sentence. This card's insane. It's a 4-cost event that says choose 2 of the following 4 abilities. You either get to draw a card, defeat 2 units, or 2 upgrades, sorry. You can ready something that costs 3 or less, or with 3 or less power. Or you can deal 4 damage to a unit. That's insane. So you can choose 2 of those. You need to deal damage to one of your opponent's things. You can do that. You need to defeat a shield token on something like a Seven Fleet Defender when you're playing against Tarkin. Or you need to defeat experience token on one of Rey's units or whatever. You can do that. You need to just draw a card because you need the potential out, and you need to get one more card deeper to maybe get that chance to get a Daring Raid and then kill the opponent, or you just need more options in your hand. You can do that. You need to ready one of your things with 3 or less power, which is pretty much the entire deck, and then just get a couple last few points of damage in. You can do that. This card just is so flexible and so efficient at what it does. It could potentially be the MVP of the deck, but I don't think it does enough work compared to Fallen Lightsaber to where I can say very confidently that this card is better than Fallen Lightsaber and the MVP of the deck. But those 2 cards, Aggression and Fallen Lightsaber, are very, 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 very good cards. So there you go. That's what I gotta say about the new Kylo Ren deck. And with all that aside, make sure to hit that subscribe button, hit that like button, it's completely free, you won't regret it, and have a great rest of your day, everybody.